crazy. I mean, they've scored 5 TDs in the past 2 games. If you have them in fantasy, you are loving life right now.
Right.
You know, and in fact, if you have them, you're going to start them next week. You're going to keep starting them until they fall flat on their face.
And for more information like that, listen to the Fantasy Greek Starts and Sits in 60 Minutes, Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Late Night Sports Radio.
.com.
All right, so let's stay with the Eagles since you went there. Their offense just ain't what it was. Is it just simply a matter of the tape catching up to them, do you think? A little bit?
I think it's a little bit of that. I think it's a little bit of them misfiring. I think it's partly their offensive line's fault. I expect them to have a bounce back week this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Chip Kelly's got to figure this one out, and I think that they will. But they've played a couple. It ends up being a couple of good games against good teams, or better teams than the rest of us expected. I certainly didn't expect the 49ers to hold them the way they did. I mean, especially after how they played against the Bears. And then you look at the Rams. I mean, 2 decent games in a row. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. So Austin Davis could very well be the real deal. I think he's a decent bye week candidate. I mean, you can't argue with 300 yards and a couple or 3 TDs. It's just that this stretch of the schedule makes you kind of go, I don't know that I want to take the risk unless I absolutely positively need a quarterback.
Right. So let's stay in the NFC East now, since we talked Philly for a little while. Dallas 4-1.
That's crazy. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's crazy.
Outscoring opponents 135-103. If Rod Marinelli doesn't get another head coaching offer off of this coaching job, I don't know what. I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, their defense is playing really well.
And it's just, for all the last few seasons, including the beginning of this season, I know the 3 of us alone, let alone every other commentator out there, was just begging them to run the football. And they are finally putting the team on the running game.
Mm-hmm.
And look what's happening. Ever since they focused primarily on the run, they've been winning.
They are first in rushing attempts, first in rushing yards. They are 6th in total yards. So when you run the ball and you control the clock, it's amazing how you can overcome a mediocre defense.
Yeah. And right now, DeMarco Murray is putting up one hell of a early season run at an MVP. He is just a monster so far. If he can remain healthy, it's going to be scary to see what he ends up with number-wise. I mean, he's 670 yards and 5 touchdowns right now, 5 games in.
He's got 4 fumbles, too.
You always got to look at negative.
I do.
Here's the thing. I mean, it goes back to what I think we were saying last week, Keith. Teams, I think, are throwing the football so much they've lost sight of the idea of having an actual running game.
Mm.
And your offensive lines, they're skilled at pass protection, but not skilled at run blocking.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they're running the football, they're actually pretty ineffective. Like I was looking at C.J. Spiller's numbers, and they're absolutely disappointing. There's no reason his numbers should be that low, but he seems to me to be a running back. You got to give him some shots. He's going to have some negative yardage plays before he gets you a nice 20, 30-yarder. And that's just the name of the game when you're running the football. But if all they're doing is looking at positive yardage plays, the running game is getting lost in that. And the problem with it is you really need to have a few drives where you run the ball, and tire out the defense.
I mean, right now he's averaging 26 rushes a game.
That's great.
That's how you do it. That is how you. Finally, the ginger is listening.
Look at Arian Foster. Look at the game he had the other day.
Or
yesterday. Yeah, I mean, and it was one of those things you want to say, oh, he's old, he's a bust, he's been injured, and yet he has a big game like that. Now, he could get hurt in the next game, but I guess he could get hurt anytime. It still has something to do with the idea that teams can use the running game to help them win football games.
The Texans are becoming very quickly a cautionary tale for the importance of winning while you have it going. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because when they had Schaub and Andre Johnson and Arian Foster and everything was clicking and that offense was lighting it up and they had a pretty decent defense, they didn't take care of business for one way or another in the playoffs. So now you have this window is closing. Andre Johnson is discontented and wanting out and whatnot and getting older, by the way. He's 33 years old. Let's not forget that. Arian Foster's 28 and starting to show signs of wear and tear. And we all know what happened to Matt Schaub. He's gone out of the league. So now you're pinning your hopes on Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan Mallett, and Tom Savage to be the next generation. And now you're going to waste that defense that they have waiting for an offense. Kind of like what the Bears have gone through. All those years where they had that amazing defense that created turnovers and you could rely on it, and they didn't have an offense to go on it. Now the offense is capable of scoring points. Whether or not they do or not is another story lately. But they're capable of scoring points, but they have to score because the defense can't stop anybody. So it's you get flip-flopping left and right, and it's very rare when you have both sides come together at the same time, and the Texans had that for a year or two, and they just didn't take advantage of it.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you.
That's my deep thought.
Deep thought.
And for once, we're not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, I know. That's great. It's so nice. I don't know what to do with it. Oh, my God.
I'll also add to our conversation of games. Colts beating the Ravens, I thought, was huge.
Oh, God. Is there I'm not going to say they have the most, but is there a team that has less question marks than the Baltimore Ravens right now? I don't see anything that gives me any confidence in Baltimore.
Oh,
no.
Well, what I meant was their defense is just phenomenal, and to see the Colts actually play probably the best or one of the best defenses in the league and win. I mean, that defense is what kept them in that game.
Yep.
And to give up 20 points to that offense of the Colts ends up being pretty good.
Yep. The Ravens.
And this was Andrew Luck personally himself did not have a good game.
The Ravens are the third-ranked scoring defense in the league, and
now offensively, it makes you wonder what's going on over there because they should have been able to put some more points up against that Colts defense, which I don't think is as good. And the fact that they don't have a running back, sort of like Arian Foster, that's disappointing. I can't believe that they're still talking about. I think the latest headline I saw as it relates to the Ravens running game is that they're still going to keep a three-headed monster. And I thought that's ridiculous. You guys get a couple guys in there that can get warmed up and start getting into a rhythm. Don't sit there and just put guys in because they're fresh and they're supposed to do something. Because when they don't, it's because you haven't given them a chance to get into a rhythm. And I think it's a disservice. It's a disservice to that offense that Mike Kubiak has brought in there. And on top of it, they're not even getting their passing game going. Steve Smith should have had a big game against the Colts, and he didn't.
No, they're leading.
Joe Flacco's a much better quarterback and should be throwing more or not throwing more, but should be more effective than he has been.
Leading receiver for the Ravens was Justin Forsett with 7 catches for 55 yards.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah, to go along with six rushing attempts. So Forsett got 6 rushing attempts for 42 yards. Lorenzo Taliaferro got 5 rushes for 18 yards, and Bernard Pierce 4 rushes for 30 yards. So unless you're in a league that has team running backs, which who would play in a league like that? But
seriously.
It's
I mean, that's actually, now that you've thrown those numbers out that way, that's pretty impressive. But whatever numbers they're putting up, the yards per carry, is not translating into points on the board.
Right.
And that makes no sense. You somehow have to sustain a drive from the moment it starts until you get to the end zone.
See, the problem I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm very sorry, go ahead.
Well, and they're just not stringing together those stats to movement of the football.
I'm trying to catch myself up on what the actual scoring flow was of this game, because the final score obviously was 7 points, but the Ravens put there are 7 points separating the teams, but the Ravens put 10 points up in the final quarter. So let's say at the end of the third quarter, it is 13-3 with the Ravens, Why are the Ravens so pass heavy? Joe Flacco finishes the game with 38 attempts, and if you add the three running backs attempts together, that puts the Ravens at 38-15 pass run ratio. That just doesn't seem very smart to me at all. Joe Flacco is a better quarterback. I'll agree with you, Jim, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Andrew Luck, ironically.
True. But here's the thing. They're not controlling the clock either. I mean, I think you've just described 53 offensive plays. They should have more around 60.
Yeah.
And while 7 doesn't sound like a big number, in football it's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like the Colts offense controlled the time of possession and controlled the effectiveness of what they did with the clock when they did have the football.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's why they didn't run as much as they should have, because they just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
And a big thing in this could go to the progression and growing maturity of Andrew Luck. He did have his 2 picks early in the game, but if you look at the fourth quarter, he's 8 for 9, 129 yards, no turnovers. It seems like he's starting to mature to that point where he's getting more confidence as the game goes along and becoming that leader late in the game. So, and it makes you wonder too, I mean, is Baltimore's defense getting tired as the game goes along? Because it seems like Indy did have a little bit of an easier time moving the ball in the fourth quarter. And they didn't run the ball for squat, so it's not like they were really pounding it on Baltimore and tiring them out.
See, the Ravens did some things like for instance, the end of the first quarter, last drive of the first quarter, their first 3 drives, they fumbled the first play. They went 3 and out for -3 yards. They got 4 plays for 6 yards before they punted, and then the next time they go 12 plays, 82 yards, and they go for it on 4th down and don't get it at the 4. That was where they started from. I'm reading that wrong. But anyway, they went 82 yards and they lost it on downs instead of kicking the field goal. You just defeat yourself there, and on the road you can't do that. I just don't understand the thinking. You know what I mean? But I guess it's one of those risk reward things. It's like, why would you open the second half of the Super Bowl with an onside kick? But it worked for New Orleans, so Sean Payton's a genius. But I don't understand. I disagree with going for it in the first quarter on 4th down. Take the points and go. But then after that, it was field goal, interception, punt, field goal, touchdown, and then they lost it on downs to end the game. So 12 possessions for both teams, but just no kind of momentum. And you can't tell me that the lack of rushing attempts had something to do with it, or didn't have something to do with it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's. We got 15 minutes left. Moving on.
Yeah.
Believe is the. It's a final. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Washington Redskins 27-17. So that puts the record for the picks, because Steve-O picked the Redskins. That means Jim and I went 11-4 on the week. Very nice week, Mr. Saranteas.
Yep, same to you. Same to you.
Steve-O wins the week going 12-3.
Ooh,
Picks
that's
up a
right.
game. So that puts me at 48-28 on the year. Puts Jim at 44-32 on the year. And Steve-O, that puts you at 44-32 on the year.
nice.
I made the moves I needed.
Yes, you did, sir. Yes, you did. So now it gets a little bit more tricky going forward. So let's go on to week 6 and the games that we all agree about. We are all picking the Denver Broncos. And I lost the matchup here. Who are the Broncos playing?
The Jets.
We're all picking the Broncos over the Jets. We are all picking the Lions over the I lost
Vikings.
Never mind. Yeah, thank you.
Vikings,
Thank you,
yeah.
Steve. Lions over the Vikings. The Bengals.
Over Carolina.
We are all picking the Packers
Over Miami.
and the Chargers.
Over Oakland.
And the Seahawks.
Over Dallas.
And the Cardinals.
Over what?